Hey guys, hope everybody had a happy New Year's and good holidays, and maybe you got some cool new drones. Anyway, I want to give a few shout outs now, so I'm going to overlay some shout outs to some of my buddies. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that are kind of small like me but do a really good job, and I'm kind of help spread the word so you can subscribe to all these other good reviewers out there. So I'm going to be running that across here as I start the review. So today I'm going to take a look at the SH5W. This is a little camera drone that shoots in 720p. It looks a lot like a SEMA X8HG in terms of its design and that candy apple red with the silver stripes, but it of course is a mini-sized drone, nothing like that. It has a tiltable camera that attaches on the bottom along with these dampeners, and that does help reduce the jello, I think, although there still is jello in the video, but it's not terrible. That's probably the least of my gripes with the video would be the jello. There's other things I will mention here shortly, but you have to attach that and snap it into the bottom. So you know, it's a 720p camera, even though it may say 1080p on some of the websites. I hope this lighting here is rather poor because I had to redo this table review, so I apologize for all the shadows and the rather poor lighting here, but it should be sufficient to at least see what I'm talking about here with this drone. Let's go ahead and we'll plug it in here, and I can show you the lights. Though I mentioned it again outside in a table review, but we'll show you here. You do have an on and off switch on the side, and it's got red in the front and it's got blue in the back, which of course goes solid when it's bound up. Now, and when I do fly it, the LVC trips very, very early because it's like 20 degrees outside, and it's just so cold that I let the LiPo sit for about a minute inside the quadcopter, and it just didn't warm up enough, and these LiPos just don't like really cold temperatures. So my earlier test flights I got around 5-6 minutes. I didn't get an exact test flight time with it, which, as you guys know if you've been a subscriber for a while to my channel, I'm always pretty thorough on flight times and LVCs, but this extreme cold we've had here in the eastern half of North America has made it just so difficult, you know, and to get flights in and get all the little details. So I'm not really skimping, it's just sort of out of my control. So, you know, flight time and normal temperatures above freezing, you know, probably somewhere around 6 minutes is what I got. It might have been as low as 5. Like I said, I didn't get exact flight time because I was using my phone and I didn't have the timer going because I was using it to test the recorded footage. So the battery it comes with is a 750 milliamp hour 1S LiPo with a little micro low-C connector, so decent sized battery. Uses a little USB charger here. Takes about an hour and a half to charge it up, so it takes a while, but it's a decent sized battery, so that makes sense. Comes with prop guards, comes with 4 extra propellers, a screwdriver for repairs, a couple little extra spinners that they call them, you know, snap on the top to secure the propellers back into place if you have to replace a propeller. It has 3 rates, and the yaw does increase with the rates, and it flies pretty nice. In fact, it flies really, really nice. I have no complaints whatsoever the way it flies. It's very, very smooth and stable, and the yaw rates are really nice. Nice, and you know, it doesn't increase a ton, but I like while the yaw is. I like how it flies, and it does auto landings pretty good. In the flight review, the first time it seemed like it got confused. You know, it's so cold out, and I landed it lower than where I took off. I don't know. You know, it's had trouble sensing the ground, but the second time you'll see it lands perfectly, and on my other test it's landed fine. So that was just sort of a fluke landing in my opinion. But it uses that Wi-Fi FPV, and here's the antenna in the back, and I expected it to be decent, but it's pretty choppy. I mean, they almost all of them are, but this one's a little worse than some of the other ones. The video you know, drops some frames, and quite often, and that's why, because it doesn't have any SD card, you're recording just to the app and you're dropping frames sometimes pretty bad, and that's causing, you know, the video to be too choppy. So I was rather disappointed in the overall video quality because of that, and the video quality itself is not very good, especially more than a few feet away. It's pretty washed out. But again, on these little toy grade, you know, most all of them, you know, 95% of them out there, there's only a couple I can think of that have you know, above average cameras at this price range. But so my biggest complaint is just the number of drop frames. The fact that if they recorded to an SD card, you wouldn't get that. So the fact that it's dropping those frames is really making, you know, the recorded video, you know, rather unacceptable at times. So it didn't really matter how close I was or far, it was dropping it. So maybe changing this antenna around, or trying to lengthen it out, you know, pull this down. You could pull it down. See, and I probably could try that to see if that helps, but it really shouldn't make much difference. I think the Wi-Fi FPV should be a little better than that, but I'm getting really sick of the Wi-Fi FPV. It's just the novelty's wearing off. It just isn't that good. So let's go ahead and go over the controller. All your trim buttons function. It has altitude hold, as I mentioned earlier. Got your 3 rates right here. This is your light control. There's no 360 flips, which is fine for me on this camera drone. I think it'd be pretty sloppy with that camera hanging down there trying to do 360 flips. It just doesn't make any sense. 1 key takeoff and return, 1 key landing, I should say. The 1 key takeoff does start the props up and takes off, so you don't have to unlock them first. Your headless mode here, your 1 key return here, and your motor kill if you need to kill the motors. Down and both sticks in is your gyro calibration, and both sticks down and out will do a manual start of the motors and a takeoff, which I also test in the flight review. Let's just very briefly go over the app, and then we'll move along here so we don't make this review too long. You want the SHRC app, which I should have on the screen here next to in this video. And it has a setup which is very basic, just, you know, it can right hand mode, save parameters, reset parameters, and then press play. And this app is a little different than some of the other ones I've seen. You get your photo and your video. It's got your access your photo and video folders, I think. And it's got, you know, here to press the eyeball, and sometimes I have to press it twice for some reason. Is your for flying it if you just want to fly by the phone, which I am not a fan of. Especially in that cold, there's no way I could have flown it with the on-screen displays. You've got like a flight path, flip the screen over, 360, 3D mode. There's a few other things. It tells you in the instruction, but all those are. It has quite a bit of different options I've never seen before. So this is kind of a grounds up app. It's not one of those skinned apps like all the others look pretty much like they've just taken the same app. Someone's changed the logo and then gone with it. So this one appears to be a completely 100% unique app by SHRC Hobbies. So that is nice, but you can go over it, you know, yourself, the instruction manual, if you choose to use all those features. I find them to be novelties, and they don't really work well, so I don't mess with them in my reviews. Most people just want to get this up in the air, get a little footage, and fly and have fun, and that's what I'm doing with this review. So I think I've covered everything here, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll move along now to that flight review. Okay guys, so I have the SH5W here on the ground. It's bound up with the controller. I've got the Wi-Fi feed also bound up with the app. Like I said, it looks a little bit like the a little SEMA X8 HG is what it really reminds me of in its design. Right now it's around 20 degrees. Yesterday it was in the single digits for a high, which is well below normal for this area of the Midwest. So I'm going to go ahead and take it up here and fly it around. It's not going to be a very long test flight because my fingers are going to freeze. It's just so cold. Like I said, the flight time was somewhere around 6 minutes, I'm thinking. When I flew it, I did fly it all the way down the last time I flew it outside. But in this cold, I think you're going to, you know, we're going to see even a shorter flight time, especially if that battery gets cold. So let's go ahead and I'm going to start recording. Let's go ahead and get it up in the air here. I'm using the auto takeoff. There's not any wind today at all, so I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. I had it trimmed for the wind the other day. That's the lowest rate. Really smooth. There's the middle rate, and there's the highest rate. See, the yaw increases a little bit, but this is a really nice flyer. I mean, I really like the way it flies. I can't complain about that at all. Look how smooth that is. You know, I'm just gently flying it around. But the FPV feed here, and you'll be seeing in the side-by-side video, it's chopping. It's just, you know, it's choppy. It's dropping frames right and left, and that's making the video feed not smooth. So I suspect there's going to be trouble getting this synced up with my video because it's dropping so many frames. Because I think otherwise, the detail is not bad. For some reason my phone wants to try to go to sleep on this app, and I don't know why. And so I may be touching my screen a lot here to keep it operating. Now see, this did it too. Phil had the same issue with his and his battery got cold. Look, I'm getting the LVC and the battery is fully charged. That's because of this darn cold. There's nothing wrong with the quadcopter. The LiPo is getting too cold in there. I had it in my pocket, but I let it sit out here too long. So it's tripping the LVC. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here. I got a minute and a half, just so I don't lose that video. See, it's sporty. I mean, look at that. But I suspect I'm going to be capped on my height. Let's see if it's still blinking. Yeah, it still is. That is just that. It's just the cold. The cold is affecting the LiPo, I think. And it's not that bad today. It's, like I said, it's around 20 degrees. I think Phil, the Flying Tech RC, I think he was flying his at below 0. But last time I flew it was around 30. I didn't have that issue. But I thought I kept the battery warm enough. I guess it just got too cold sitting there. So we'll see. I mean, the LVC's tripped, so even if it's got more LiPo power, it's going to probably confuse it and not let me fly it like I would want. I said there's no 360 flips. It's just an aerial flyer FPV. I can back it up here. I can turn the lights off and we'll see. Now see, it won't let you because it's got the LVC. Otherwise I could flip those lights on and off, which makes sense. It wants you to know it's at low battery. So this is going to be, I said, a rather short review, and that's hampered by these cold temperatures. There'd be no trouble flying this at normal temperatures, you know, even above, anything above freezing. But I really like the way it flies, so I can't complain about that. It's just the Wi-Fi FPV is the main issue. Let's see if I can bring it over here and do an auto landing here, down here. I'm gonna do an auto landing, kind of correct it. And of course it flipped over. Oh boy. I was having a little bit of trouble detecting the ground there. I don't know if that's because I took off at a higher point than the barometer was confused or what. But it's still showing an LVC, and of course my phone, oh, there it's back up. My phone keeps going to sleep on this app. I don't know why. Now, to unlock the props, you go down and out, and it's going to go ahead and let me. So let's go ahead and just do a manual takeoff. Last time I auto landed, I had no issues, so I can't say that that's a common problem there. I think, you know, the barometer may be confused. I mean, this cold weather just messes with everything. But like I said, it flies nice. The yaw rate's perfect for a beginner. But this LVC going off, it's going to try to land here any moment, I think. It's just the battery's just too cold. Ideally, you'd want to keep the battery warm in your pocket. See there, I think it's going to try to land. I'm going to land it. Now see, that's a perfect land in there. I got the auto land. I can see it was going to come down, so ideally, you want to keep that battery warm. Make sure, and that's kind of what, keep it in your pocket. I came out here, started talking, and the quadcopter had been sitting outside, and that let that, that battery get too cold in there, and that's what caused the early LVC, because I did not have this last time. I flew it at around 35 degrees, and I had no issues. It flew around, like I said, around 6 minutes. So there's nothing defective with it. It's just this extreme cold that we have right now in North America. So hopefully it give you an idea how this flies at least. I apologize it wasn't longer. I just can't do it in this cold, and there's no warm-up of anything substantial in sight. So I got to get it out here and try to at least give you guys an idea, because I just got too much stuff to review. So I want to let you have an idea how this quadcopter looks. So overall, I would recommend it for a flyer, but I wouldn't recommend it as a camera bird. The camera is just too choppy. If the Wi-Fi were better, I would be okay with it, because it has the antenna here on back. It should be better, but it's just too laggy, too many drop frames. So that'd be my like the biggest con on it. So I appreciate you guys for watching, and I hope you guys had a happy New Year's and a nice Christmas, and talk to you guys soon.
The power of the dark side.